Welcome back to the 14th annual espnW Women in Sports Summit. Please welcome to the stage our incredible host, Elle Duncan.
Oh my God, hi. Hi, can you guys hear me? Woo, say yes if you can hear me. There we go. I forgot, this is the portion of the event where they pull out the couches and everyone looks so cozy while they're eating their charcuterie and burgers. Hi, everybody, welcome back. Day 2, night loading. How was everyone's breakout sessions and intramurals? Everything good? We had a great time? Yeah? How many of you just like ran back to your villa for a quick shower? Yeah, that was me. So many bath salts were used. Well, we're so excited. Going to be a great night ahead. Welcome back if you're streaming with us. Thank you for coming back. We hope you had a great break, whatever you were doing. A fantastic night for you tonight. We're going to highlight some incredible everyday heroes. And we're also going to talk with Regina Spektor and have a performance with Sarah Spain. She's not the one performing. She'll be doing the interview, although she'll probably perform knowing Sarah. And then, of course, we've got an amazing closeout night party for you guys. I'm already ready on my fake DJ booth. I'm DJ iPad, but we're good to go. So are you guys ready for day 2 from Ojai? Let's go. I need like a temperature check. Okay. There we go. Let me feel your energy. I don't want to have to play Beyonce to get it. So you've been noticing this beautiful Tacoma here, and some of you have your branded Toyota blankets, but for over a decade, Toyota has championed female thought leaders to drive change and opportunity for women in sports. And Toyota's Everyday Heroes program honors women who are working to promote and grow sports for girls and women in their local communities. It's just an incredible program. And these women leave lasting impacts, and they've never settled when it comes to highlighting the importance of sport in youth girls' lives. So tonight, we're going to hear from some incredible women and the ways that the Toyota Everyday Heroes help girls go places they never thought imaginable through sports. And the person that's going to help me present some of those awards today is the physical embodiment of that. So here with me to present this year's Toyota Everyday Heroes Award is Team Toyota athlete Danielle Umstead. Hey. Sis got the memo too. Exactly. There we go. Oh, okay. And a spin. And a spin. How are you?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, so if you don't know, Danielle is a alpine skier, 3-time Paralympic medalist, 4-time world champion medalist. But her story is absolutely incredible. I talked with some of you sort of offline just about what we were going to hear from Danielle. And I got to tell you, when we were on our prep call, I just kept shaking my head and going, how and why? So Danielle, you're 13 years old, and a doctor has just told you that at some point you are going to lose all of your vision.
Yes.
What do you remember about that day?
I remember that day sitting there feeling like I just got a life sentence. Unfortunately, as a teenager, we all know that it's hard enough being a teenager, a girl, and being told that I'm going to go blind one day. It was tragic. I didn't know how I was going to live my life. It was a day that I will never forget, and a day that will always live with me, unfortunately.
So you're 29, and you're very close to losing all of your vision at this point.
Right.
And your father, just by happenstance, becomes an alpine skiing guide and decides that he wants to take you skiing for the first time at 29 years old. What do you remember about that experience on that day?
It was crazy. So I had just lost all my usable vision in both of my eyes. I had lost my mom to cancer, which was the one person I knew was going to be there for me no matter what. And my dad is like not known for his patience, and he's pretty hot-tempered. So I hadn't seen him much in years, and I kind of was like, is this a joke? I'm living in Plano, Texas, and you want to take a blind girl skiing. Like, I cannot. But that was the moment that changed my life, and I always tell him that he gave me life twice. Like, I am living my second life, the life I was meant to live, and because of him and his gesture, I found skiing, which gave me freedom and joy that I hadn't had since I lost my sight.
So your father gives you this gift, and you don't just love skiing, you become one of the best in the world at it. You're a Paralympian, you win 3 bronze medals. You are at the top of your game. You have overcome this particular challenge in your life. And then what happens in 2010?
Unfortunately, in 2010, I was diagnosed with relapsing, remitting multiple sclerosis.
Multiple sclerosis. So now, Danielle, in her lifetime, has received 2 devastating medical diagnoses in her lifetime. What's going through your mind when you find out that you are now going to battle multiple sclerosis?
I still struggle with that more than losing my sight. Multiple sclerosis is a very invisible disease. It affects my thinking and my ability to move a lot of the times. So when I was diagnosed, my first thought is, I'm never going to ski again. I found my new life. I found freedom and joy. I found a new beginning. I started my impossible, and now it's been taken away from me. And I felt lost and scared. And when I had my attack, it attacked me from my rib cage all the way down to my toes. And I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to hop again and jump again and ski again. And the only thing that kept me going was sport. Sport was the one thing that I said, I'm coming back. No matter what, I'm coming back. Even if I look bad, I'm coming back. I'm going to do what I love.
And she did, and she got back to that level. And despite your story and despite everything that you've overcome, you're not, in fact, an actual superhero. Like I'm touching you, a real person. So what would be your advice to everybody here and how they tap into their inner everyday hero, Danielle?
You know, I think it first comes with believing in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. You have to find that inner strength within you and surrounding yourself with people that believe in you, surrounding yourself with positive people and positive places. And, you know, for me, it's purpose and passion. For me, it's always been skiing has been my purpose and passion, and I started a nonprofit to support women and girls with disabilities through the love of sport, and giving back and paying it forward gives me the strength to keep going no matter what.
The unstoppable Danielle Umstead, ladies and gentlemen. I told you, she's
Thank
absolutely
you.
incredible. And you know the amazing part, Danielle, is that you're actually honoring 2 other incredible women, if you can believe that.
I'm excited.
It's
I'm
so
so
exciting.
honored.
Yes, on behalf of Toyota, we're so pleased to announce the 8th class of the Toyota Everyday Heroes and introduce our 2023 honorees and hear their inspiring mission. So we start with Mechelle Lewis Freeman from Dallas, Fort Worth. She founded TrackGirlz, which focuses on physical health, mental strength, guidance, and support for girls who want to pursue track and field. And let's take a quick look at her story.
The first time I ran as a little girl and really felt speed was when we had an elementary school track meet. The boys always wanted to race the girls, and they didn't think you could ever beat them, but I always proved them wrong. Track and field is the highest participatory sport for middle and high school girls in the U.S., and we are on a mission to reach them all. At a TrackGirlz workshop, we're providing them access to sisterhood, empowerment, and track and field. When I started TrackGirlz in 2015, I was driven by the mission and the need and the energy just to make a change. And I'm so grateful that Toyota is recognizing the work.
I just want to say thank you, Miss Mechelle, for being that inspiration and that idol for me and for all the younger girls, just to see what we could do just by your example.
I've had my place at the starting blocks for years now, and it's time for the younger generation to take my spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mechelle Lewis Freeman of TrackGirlz. Hey.
Keep you right,
Thank you.
I think I'm supposed to wait. I'm gonna wait. Next, we're going to give the story of Peggy Turner of TIRR Memorial Hermann Hotwheels program. So in her time at TIRR Memorial Hermann in Houston, Peggy helped create the Hot Wheels program. It's a youth wheelchair basketball program that allows athletes to feel included like their able-bodied peers and gain valuable skills like navigating a hotel and airport as a person with ability. Let's take a look at Peggy.
When I was in 5th grade, I got my first basketball. I took it to school, got sent to the principal's office. They took it, and the only reason I was given is because I was a girl and girls don't play sports. Our mission is to be sure that all kids have a chance to be included in playing sports.
I love my coach. She is awesome, and I love that she's been able to teach all of us wheelchair basketball.
He's grown up so much. Just to be able to be the same as his peers. They're all involved in sports, and for the first time, he's able to say, I play a sport.
Being recognized by Toyota is such a huge honor because I've just been doing what I'm doing because it feels like the right thing for so long. Every time I see these kids on the court playing, there's a younger version of me that just gets excited because I believe everyone deserves a chance to get to play.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Peggy Turner of TIRR Memorial Hermann Hot Wheels program.
Congrats, Danielle. Thank you.
Oh, okay. There's Mechelle right here.
Mechelle, congratulations. Thank you so much. Peggy, congratulations. And
Thank you so much, Danielle.
in behalf of Toyota, I want to let both of you know they're very proud and honored to give you this award, and also want to present $15,000 to each one of you. Yeah. Yes. They believe in your mission.
It's the money dance. Let's go. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Toyota.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a reason to stand, ladies and gentlemen. I know. That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you guys. You deserve it.
Congratulations. And thank you again, Toyota, for your generous gift. I just want to chat for a minute with you, ladies, and I want to start with you, Mechelle. For over 20 years, track and field has meant so much to you, so much so that you wanted to waymake for the next generation. I guess I'm just interested why you think that track and field is going to have such an impact on young girls.
Oh man, well, track and field has impacted my life in so many ways since I was a 13-year-old girl, running and not really understanding how I can impact the world. And once I found myself in sport, it allowed me to grow and flourish in ways that it's impacted my life today as an Olympic coach and leading women in their own lives and the new generations. For young black girls in particular, basketball and track and field, 68% of black female athletes participate in just those two sports in the U.S., where 28% of white female athletes make up those same two sports. And so track and field allows us to meet them where they are. You think about the impact of thinking back as far as the Tiger Bells in the 50s and 60s who had to face racism and sexism before Title IX, leading up to how track and field allows myself and other young girls, and particularly I say black girls because that's my personal experience, but it's the center stage for us to express ourselves, to showcase our beauty, our talent, and our gifts. And so I just want to use the sport to continue to help young girls express who they are, thrive where they are. You can run, jump, throw, so it allows people to embrace their body types and figure out how they can use their gifts to show who they are and have a safe space to do that.
We want to know how everyone here can use their gifts as well and leverage opportunity. And I think so much of what we talked about even before this is just an ignorance of not knowing where those gaps are. So specifically with track and field, where are the biggest disparities where we can sort of help to bridge that gap for you?
Well, I always like talking in track and field terms. So we want to think about equity. We want all starting lines to be at the same space. We don't want hurdles in one lane where they're not in others. So just making sure in under-resourced areas that we give those same opportunities for them to be able to show up for who they are and what they believe and their gifts and what they can give to the world. I think about exposure. This year was the first time USA Championships weren't shown on NBC. We need media exposure. So I was listening earlier. So track and field, okay, track and field. Let's talk about track and field. We just came back from World Championships. We broke world records. Sha'Carri was on SportsCenter. She was number 9, though, and Little League Baseball was number 1. And I'm like, she broke a world record. What else can she do? So just, really just understanding what we do and not being undervalued. That's why I started TrackGirlz, just to speak to us just being valued and understood and understanding our contribution to history, sport, and culture, and for the world to start to embrace that more.
We got you on the track thing, Hane,
Yes,
because we, of course, are going to be talking to someone that you coach tomorrow, our keynote, Cindy
Yes.
McLaughlin-Lavrona. I can't wait for that. Peggy, you've talked about the fact that growing up in Kentucky during the Title IX years is what really fueled your 40-year career in this space. How have you seen advocacy create meaningful change?
The experience, again, I grew up pre-Title IX, lived through it actually being the law passing and being able to play sport, then getting into the adapted sport world. And what based on my experience and what I've witnessed and worked with for the last 41 years that I've been in the community in adapted sport, is that I think there's all kinds of advocacy, right? And there's like multiple ways to do that. But I feel like they can kind of compartmentalize into 2 buckets. One is we have to have the laws. We have to have, whether it's protests or rallies, we have to have lawyers, and we have to command and demand that women deserve to get to play and people with disabilities get that right. And then there's this other bucket, and I fall more into that category. We have to have both. And it's how can we use sport as a tool for social change? And I think the examples are so clear right here with women and girls and how far the movement has come, but how much further we still have to go. And people with physical disabilities in wheelchair sports, Paralympic sport, is really just getting started. So we had 1964, 1972, 1990. We have this shift in this movement, and I believe that's important to know.
It certainly is, and very quickly, because we also, what's important to know is progress. So how have you seen just the idea and sort of the support that we see around people with diverse abilities change over 40 years?
I had the privilege to go into the last 8 Paralympic Games. So 1982, Barcelona, 92, Barcelona. It was one plane with 500 athletes and a very small delegation of staff. We had to pay our way to go, and I was one of the team staff. And 4 years later in Atlanta, it was very similar. And what I realized is the other countries were recognizing athletes with disabilities. They went home heroes. My friends, the people we work with and the athletes, came home unnoticed, unrecognized. They couldn't market. They couldn't get into hotels, couldn't get on TV, weren't recognized as the amazing athletes that they were. So in 2000, I decided to go for it with marketing, and I got photo credentials for the rest of the games. And I checked in 2004 in Athens, Greece at the Paralympic Media Center, and there were 2 other ladies and myself from the whole United States checking into the media center for the Paralympic Games. We left the games. I went with a couple of sitting volleyball friends. We went to Paris for a couple of days. We got bombarded with people from Paris. We were heroes. Our athletes were in Paris, but not in our own country. Nobody knew. Today, with social media, with Toyota, with ESPnW, and recognizing athletes with disabilities and bringing it on, thank you to the women's movement. It saved my life. It gave me life. It changed the trajectory of my life so that I could go on and change other people's lives. So thank you for bringing along. There's a big movement we have in the women's movement, and to welcome in somebody else and to raise them up to the heroes and the amazing athletes that they are is just, I'm grateful for that.
It's the beautiful thing about women, Peggy. We lift while we rise. Thank you so much for all of your efforts. Thank you, Mechelle. And thank you so much, Danielle, as well, for everything that you've done to inspire all of us, that we can all be everyday heroes. Thank you so much to Toyota as well for those incredible gifts that I know you're going to put to fantastic use. What'd you say, Peggy?
I know.
Oh, you want to take a picture?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Can we can we get our hot girl picture on? I'm just saying.
No.
We didn't sit through 40 minutes of hair and makeup for nothing.
I know. But no, I will say thank you to Toyota. Like, thank you so much for what you're doing, for supporting us, our funds. Like, just having this stage right here, right now, for a small organization like us, our operating budget is $100,000. So if we give over 50% of that to our girls. So if we can increase that, we can increase our impact. So thank you so much.
It all counts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you, and congratulations. Incredible. Reach back out. Remember, this is all about community. They've told you how they could use your help, so please help them. Okay, with that, I'm so excited to bring up my girl to kick off our keynote speech for the night and subsequent performance. So please welcome back to the stage, espnW's own Sarah Spain.
Hello. What's up, everybody? I am so pumped for tonight. This is the best. How's everybody feeling? Awesome. I want to start with the most important thing, which is that earlier LaChina seemed to try to establish some sort of dominance in the Halloween game. And I want to let you know that no one will ever top me in costumes. I have several costume-related parties every year. Halloween is my time to shine. In fact, I already did one this year. And if you haven't seen it and you don't know Weird Barbie and Alan, then you need to see the biggest movie of the summer. So bring it, LaChina. Challenge extended. Couple quick shout outs too. I want to shout out, where are my Green Bay Packers ladies? So friendly rivalry between Chicago and Green Bay, and I want to congratulate them on wearing their Green Bay gear again this year. Last year they all dressed in generic NFL gear like Rob Lowe. I think because they were incognito because Rodgers was Rodgersing, and they were just like, we've had enough. He's gone, they're back, the Packers gear is back, they're wearing the logo again, so congrats on reclaiming your identity. I hope love sucks for years. I can't do it if he's another Hall of Fame quarterback. I can't do it. Also, shout out to Elle Duncan for being our amazing host. Can I get a round of applause? And one final shout out and lots of good energy for one of our global sports mentoring program mentees who broke her arm in kickball today and took it like a champ. I am told that this woman was like, I think I broke my arm, but I'm okay. And then Lisa Stokes made a sling out of Julie Foudy's shirt. People ran to her with cold beers because there was no ice. And this woman iced down a broken arm with beers wearing a sling made by Lisa Stokes. And she is not with us right now. She is being taken care of and apparently being introduced to the American health system. But we're all sending her our very best energy. Yeah. And speaking of energy, we are about to have a powerful force on the stage with me tonight to talk to us, to share some of her artistry, and then to perform in a way that I think is going to be not only entertaining, but deeply healing for all of us. I'm so excited to introduce you to her. She has performed at the White House. In fact, her last performance about a month ago was at the Vice President's event. She's performed on Broadway, Saturday Night Live, contributed to projects spanning music and film, including the Hamilton mixtape, theme song for the Netflix show Orange is the New Black. Her fourth album, Begin to Hope, was certified gold, and her most recent album, last year's Home Before and After, was released to critical acclaim. Please welcome to the stage Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, and pianist Regina Spektor. Hi. So this is everyone. They're very nice and friendly and welcoming. They're going to be staring directly at your face from 5 feet away, but don't be afraid. Just an intimate moment. I want to start with the very beginning because you have such a fascinating history and life story, and it started in Russia. And I want to hear what you remember about growing up as a kid in Russia.
Well, all my photos that my dad was a photographer, and all my photos, they sort of look outside of time. Like it was they could be from any era. They're just like black and white, kind of everything is beige and gray, and as you can see, that was actually taken very near when we were leaving, when we were immigrating. But it was a combination of things, because on the one hand, it was a really oppressive, super anti-Semitic. I mean, we came here as refugees, as religious and political refugees. Place that was really difficult for people to navigate, and on the other hand, I had these amazing parents, and I think that in a lot of ways your life is kind of guided by your parents. So if you're blessed with awesome parents who value the arts, who value friendship, who care about nature, then you kind of have these adventures. And so I had this kind of very magical childhood that was full of music and books and friends, and and in there, I could listen in to the kitchen conversations and all the worries, and sort of hear about the propaganda, or how people could read between the lines or experience some of the anti-Semitism. My parents experienced a lot more of it, but I also had this, we lived without, basically, without a lot of the things that kind of oppress American kids. Like you didn't have to think about how you dressed. Everybody had the same thing. My mom had her sweater, her pair of pants. Everybody had like a thing, so it was kind of outside of this rat race too. And so a lot of people had a month of vacation. So you just had all this time, and you were really outside of all these other things. So it was just kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, you end up leaving when you're 9 because of anti-Semitism. Your family's Jewish. You come to the United States. You moved to the Bronx, and you grew up playing piano and loving piano, but you couldn't have one right when you moved, so you continued to practice on windowsills and tables, which I love. And you eventually meet a piano teacher sort of through chance and fate that's willing to teach you pro bono because she sees a gift there. I want to hear about those early days in the Bronx, because I've now got a picture of Russia that you gave me, and now you're dropped into the Bronx.
Yeah, so my parents, when we came, they didn't speak English. I didn't speak English. I was 9.5, and they visited Brooklyn, which is where you're supposed to go when you're Russian speaking. And they were like, we don't want this. We don't want to live in, a strange, weird Russia type place. So they were like,
fake Russia, Russia too.
They were just really, the things that they were most interested in were experiencing America, experiencing the melting pot, experiencing new cultures, and definitely getting in touch finally, legally, for the first time ever with their Jewish roots. So there was right by the 1 train in the Bronx, like at the almost end of the line, there was a little synagogue, and they opened a resettlement office. Actually, there's a photo somewhere of me on the cover of like Bronx Times, like playing handball against like my building. We were part of like the first 5 families that moved to that neighborhood, and it was just really, again, it was really amazing. I for the first time experienced just even, we didn't have any money, so kind of when people say, like, even like when I played Broadway, people are like, what does Broadway mean to you? I was locked out of Broadway. Like, you have to have money to go to Broadway shows. So you kind of do live in an immigrant bubble if you come here, but then the world sort of gives you what it gives you. So I could hear music blasting out of cars and out of bodegas, and I could experience just being around people. You take in the whole thing, even without understanding it. But the deep kind of pain and realization that I wasn't actually going to get to play piano anymore was constantly with me, because again, it was just something that you have to have money to have piano lessons, and it was made very clear to me that just was never going to happen. So my dreams of having a piano kind of left. But we would meet people in the community and they would just say, oh, I have this old piano. It just works to hold up family pictures. Come over. And, you know,
We all have that piano.
I know. Now I understand. I was like, really? You know, and so I just, you know, I started getting kind of taken into, we would go and I would have my little sheet music with me and we'd go and visit people in the neighborhood and I would just look at their grandchildren and practice their out-of-tune piano, and it was wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah.
You mentioned handball, and you have said that you have to make this choice. Is that unwieldy? Do you want this one, or is that okay? That you kind of have to choose between sportsy and artsy. Yeah, double-handed. You look like a natural. I'm just saying. It looks like just like a 40 ounce.
After the show, it will be.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Sometimes you got to choose between artsy and sportsy.
Yes.
And you were very artsy, and you said you were coming to this conference thinking, only in recent years have you realized the power of embodiment and of using your body.
Yes, it's actually, so I told Sarah that it was like one of my great regrets that I didn't come to it earlier in life, and that when I was growing up, because I was from a very bookish sort of family that where, you know, our natural posture was like, you know, it's like either over a book or like at the piano, and I kind of have been learning ever since to kind of leave the spinnies and come into my body, because I think a lot of the time our world makes girls choose, and probably not even just girls, maybe just everybody. And so you're either supposed to be, you know, the artsy one or the sporty one, and you know, in a lot of ways, I think that a certain level of music requires almost like an Olympian kind of effort, where people do have to practice for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And there's, you know, there's only so much time. And as I'm, you know, realizing even as a mother, you're like, I want to do everything, but really, you know, you choose what you spend your time on. And I, you know, I do end up choosing to make that soup over and over again instead of write that song. But I do think that, you know, it would be really, it's so important to have both. I think really for children, the most saving things, the most enriching things are sports and the arts.
Yeah, I completely agree. You started writing music at 16, went to college for music, briefly worked at a butterfly farm in Wisconsin.
Yes, Luck,
Shout out
Wisconsin.
Packers. You studied for a term in London, and then you went back to New York, and with this burgeoning music career that no one yet knew about, you had to do a little fibbing, a little trickery, some nice white lies to get into performance spaces that required a slightly bigger profile. So tell us about the East Village Sidewalk Cafe and how you maneuvered your way into that.
Yeah, well, there's this interesting catch-22 where it's like, to play a show, you have to have an audience, and to have an audience, you have to play a show. And I would go to these open mics, and I would stay up till 2, 3 in the morning. I'd pull a number out of a hat, and it would always be like 375. And I'd play to 2 people, and then I'd commute back to the Bronx at like crazy o'clock. My mom, she did not sleep for years. I'm so, you know, grateful she let me do it. But, you know, it started getting kind of surreal, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna call one of these places. And the place I used to always go to an open mic was Sidewalk Cafe, and so I called them, and by some miracle, it wasn't the usual booker. And so I never, ever lie unless I'm planning a surprise party for somebody. Then I do it gleefully, and I enjoy every second of lying. But, you know, so this person picks up the phone, and I know it's not the regular booker because he was a man and this was a woman. And I know that their rule, you have to be able to bring 40 people in, and so I just say, oh yeah, I had a show booked, and I can't remember when it was. And And so she goes, oh, let me look. And I'm working like I'm like trying to just get any information from her that I can glean. And so she says, oh, June looks pretty booked up, and August, yeah, it seems pretty. I do see some spots in July. And I was like, oh yeah, I think it was in July. And she goes, okay. And then, she keeps giving me some information. I keep grabbing little bits here and there. I get a Sunday slot for 30 minutes. And she, and I call everybody, every relative, every cousin, every uncle, everybody from New Jersey and Pennsylvania, anywhere I could get anybody from. And I bring in this entire crew of like Russian speaking, drinking and eating people to this place. And, and then I realized, oh, nobody brings in 40 people. Like everybody plays to nobody, and I overachieved. And after that, they were like, "Can you come back?"
And they bought a lot of beer.
I was like their hero. They would give me every show because my family was like the patrons.
Sometimes you gotta lie. You just gotta do it. That's the message for the evening. Lie. Some folks might be surprised to learn, knowing your music, that your first tour was with the Strokes. So I want to hear how that came together and how your music sort of fit or complemented each other.
Well, back to the immigrant bubble thing. I never bought records. I was like a record company's worst nightmare because I couldn't afford them. So everything I had was like a mixtape or mix CD or burnt and I lived under a rock. I didn't know anything. I didn't go to shows. So when the Strokes actually became the Strokes, it missed me completely. I was on the subway commuting from the Bronx to the Lower East Side and reading my books. And so when I ended up through a series of, I'm not going to waste your time, but through a series of funny coincidences, I met their producer, Gordon Raphael, who produced their first record. And he started recording some demos of mine. And he gave me the Strokes record, and I fell in love with it. And I was like the last person in New York to discover them, and I became an obsessive fan. And I really, now, I feel like people have come around to it and they hear it, but I was really sort of in love with all of the classical music influence that I heard in them. And now they're described as like Baroque rock, but because it's intricate parts that fit just so into each other. And I loved it. I loved the dissonances and how it worked. To me, it worked like classical music. And actually, a lot of the time, their tempo, is very Mozart tempo, if you actually notice. And so I really felt this instant kinship. But I never dreamed. I just kept thinking like, oh, if I haunt Gordon enough, I'll get in to see their show, because I couldn't afford to go to concerts. And so I was like, I got to get into a show. Play my demos to them. Maybe they'll get me into a show. And he played my demos to them, and they were like, come on tour.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing.
Yeah, I went with a backpack. And it was
cool.
pretty. Yeah, it was really cool. And actually, I couldn't really afford to go on tour. I wasn't signed. I didn't have a manager. It was just like me, and I lived in the Bronx with my parents. But my parents, at a certain point, just saw how much I wanted to go, and they let me borrow credit cards so I could buy myself the travel. And I was like, when I get back home, I'm going to get back that temp job, and I'm going to pay you back. And luckily, it just kept going from there, and I didn't have to.
Yeah.
Because I was really bad as a temp. Really bad.
You have a sort of, you were reticent to dive into major labels. You waited 7 years to sign with the major label. And you write for yourself more so than what you think people want to hear. You've said the role of an artist should be to explore and ask questions, but too often people want to be comforted, right? So it'd be easy to write what you think will comfort people or what people might want to hear on the radio, and instead you've sort of pursued whatever comes to you in the form of your music. And you also don't like to explain what they mean, in part because you let the music work itself out and it goes in directions you didn't plan, which people don't want to hear. They also want to hear, like, what's that about? Word for word, tell us the entire story. So how, when you're creating, do you gauge what's good versus what your subconscious happened to pop out on that day? And how do you let the feeling lead in the creation? Does it still lead in the editing and the publishing?
Wow, there's so much smart stuff in there, and I don't know how to unpack it. I'll try. I think my biggest worry in the beginning, when people really started approaching me, and now in hindsight, I think, wow, I really just, I didn't care. And I'm kind of amazed, because I guess if you actually don't have that much kind of stuff to start with, you're not concerned with accumulating more stuff, because you're kind of like, oh, I've lived, in every kind of way, and I don't need that much stuff. So you kind of, it orientates you, and it kind of makes you feel very free. It's kind of like the opposite of fuck you money. It's like the fuck you no money. Like, and you can do it. And I think I had that. And then I also simultaneously had a very healthy fear and understanding that if you haven't explored yourself yet and you don't really know what it is you're setting out on an adventure to do, and you get with people who do want to make money, you're going to get pushed in certain directions. You're going to owe people things, because you don't get things for free. People want things from you. And so I was very, very scared. I was scared for so long. When I finally did get signed, I remember just talking to one of the gentlemen who ended up signing me, and he was just like, why are you talking me out of signing you? And I was like, I don't know. I'm broke and I don't really have a better idea, but I want you to know that I won't do this and I won't do this, and if you think I'm like that, I'm not like that. And it was like, it was this, I wanted, because to me, I think it's like, I think the amazing thing, the power sort of people, is that we're so diverse. And there's so many of us. And so there's enough of us to be all different kinds of things. And it's enough for things to mean different things to us. Like what music means to me, it doesn't have to mean that to everybody. But to me, it's like a kind of, it's so pure that it has to, I don't know, it's just like it's such a, I follow the thread, and I pledge to follow it in whatever way, and sometimes it has resonance, and sometimes it doesn't, and I just sort of, I'm on this trip, and sometimes people come on the trip with me, and sometimes they say, this is where I get off the ride, thank you very much, and I love that, because I think that it's so I think because of that, I have to sort of, I can't really, it's a feeling, and so when I go and I write, a lot of the time I sit down to write, and then I just walk right away, because I can't, you hear in the world of music, you probably have heard a lot of interviews or people talking, and people talk about the craft. And I'm sure that there is craft to it and skill, and I know I've spent hours of studying and playing music, but when I write songs, I don't actually feel like I'm crafting. It's either happening or it's not. And so then I don't think if it's good or not. I'm just happy that it happened, and then I play it for you, and then if you like it, great, and if not, then I'm going to try and write something next.
Well, it's fun when you don't explain the songs, because then people can just invent their own meanings and take it very seriously and feel very connected, even if it's not what you meant at all.
Well, and also I think even I myself, years later, sometimes I'm like, wow, this now means this to me. Like I think it is a shifting thing. If you let it live, it kind of shifts and grows with you. Hopefully, it'll stay with me for my life.
You said right before having your first child, quote, I was concerned I'd become a mother rather than an artist. And then in an interview in 2016, right after the birth, you acknowledged that you certainly had privilege with your schedule and wealth and help, but also that you were in a, quote, magic reality where you'd go to the park every day and then go to the studio and you were as prolific as ever. And you said, quote, there's a part of me that wants to scream at every woman, don't worry, you can be both. And it is several years later, and you now have 2 kids. Are we still in the magical reality?
There's a big no, I think that, I think that what happened was I had these strange scenarios that I overthink things. So I had these strange scenarios before I became a mom. And I was like, my mom was this amazing mom. And if I was sick, then she would go and help me. But what if like my child needs me and they're sick, but I feel inspiration to write a song. Like, will I be a good mom, or will I close the door and go write a song? Like, I had all these like stupid ideas that, like, of course are not real. And when you're imagining all this stuff, you don't imagine the transformation, that everything becomes different. You become different. So all these scenarios, they don't matter because everything sort of shifts into this new place. But I think that, definitely the songs that I wrote after and the songs that I write now, they come from a completely different place. It's almost like getting, you realize there's a room in the house and the door, you're like, what's this door? Where does it lead? And then you open it up and it's just like a palace, or like, yeah, and it's a womb. It's a womb. It's a womb room. Yeah. And I just feel so grateful because I feel absolutely transformed. At the same time, it's really, really hard. And if all I wanted was to write as many songs as I possibly can and to be as sort of like career oriented as I possibly could, I wouldn't be able to do it with Mother. I shifted. So I would never say to somebody who wants to just be like pursuing and not in any way kind of giving of this other side, yeah, go be a mom, because it is all encompassing. And I am lucky that I love it. But if I didn't, I'd be fucked. Because
everyone who doesn't love being a mom, raise your hand. It's a safe space. I'm just kidding. What's fascinating too about your writing, and you talk about how you'll sit down and you're like, if it comes to you, great, and if it doesn't, walk away. You don't write an album in one chunk. So the music that's coming to you now with children feels different, and yet you still return to songs that you wrote a decade ago. There's a song, Loveology, that you've been performing live for 18 years, and it is on your most recent album, finally. So I'm confused, first of all. When do you decide when something is ready to perform versus when it's ready to publish? And you also say you don't write them down. You just start performing them, and then you're glad fans record it so you have a copy.
Yes.
Can you walk me through that?
So, yes. The thing that happens sometimes, and that happened to the song Loveology, is actually I didn't perform it for 18 years straight. I performed it, I think, once or twice 18 years ago. And then, luckily, people did that. They recorded it and they put it up online. Actually, I think my algorithm thinks that I'm my own biggest fan because I go on YouTube and I look things up when I can't figure out how to play them for shows. So I go and I find people's shaky videos of things and I figure out what the hell I played because I could kind of see and hear. But what happened was because at the time I was just living just for songs, I would live my life and I would write songs and then I'd play shows and I would tour New York City, and I wouldn't even, I would play like 25 shows in a month just in New York alone. I go uptown and Brooklyn and down, and I was always worried about just things being boring.
Yeah.
So I would just write more songs and I would just play them right away. And then of course you can't remember all this stuff. Your mind, or my mind at least, has to drag things to delete folder and start over. So then all of a sudden I would just be like, and there are so many songs that I completely forgot, but the ones that did get recorded by people kind of started a life of their own. And that's one of the, the internet really sucks in a lot of ways, but that's one of the good things about it, is that certain things kind of they could start a life of their own and live with people, and then they get attached actually to those versions, like with the glasses clinking, and that's like their favorite version because that's where like somebody
I was on
spills
Reddit,
something.
and some guy was like, I don't like the album version. I missed the cough. Like, she should be coughing in the song. It's not right. I just love that relationship too with your fans. Like, they are actually a part of your songwriting by keeping track and writing it down.
They help me.
Yeah.
No, they help sometimes songs come back into my life. It was them requesting this song that made me.
That's really
but when you asked about, how come some make it onto albums and some don't, it's a lot of the time I try really hard to let songs make it onto albums, and then I'll try to play them, and for whatever reason in that time they just don't feel right, or I just can't get it just so, and so I leave it off, not because I want to, but because I couldn't capture something.
It's not the time yet, maybe.
Yeah.
You said back in 2016 of going to Israel, my mind tries to solve an unsolvable puzzle. It's a really powerful, energetic place, but stuck in a feedback loop. It's reflective of our planet, don't you think? We can't seem to knock the record out of the groove. You said it in 2016, and it is absolutely 100% accurate right now as well. How are you processing the current conflict in Gaza and Israel?
To be honest, I'm having the hardest time. I pulled it together for today, but I think if I wasn't with all of you, I would be at home and my husband and I would be taking turns crying, because that's what's been going on since October 7th. And it is a huge crisis for really all Jewish people of the world, not just in Israel. And it is a huge crisis on many, many levels, because it's the biggest massacre of the brutality, unspeakable brutality, since the Holocaust, in a country that is tiny. Everybody, I'm in touch with so many people, that I'm in touch with family, I'm in touch with friends. I'm worrying about people. They're living under rockets falling on them still. And I'm also in the awakening, I think in the pain to the awakening that actually the idea that for the last 4 years, on and off because of COVID, I have been, with my husband and a friend of ours, we have been working on this film about my piano teacher's husband, who is a Holocaust survivor. He's a violinist and a child Holocaust survivor. And I think that through the process of hearing those horrific stories and listening to his wisdom, because I grew up with him. He's known me since I was 10. My music education was gifted to me by my teacher and by her husband. It's why I get to be a musician. They gave me my whole education for free. But I think there was a part of me that really, really believed that it was never going to happen again. There's a part of me that really, really believed that it was firmly in the past, and a part of me that knew that the world would never again turn away, not care. The world would stand up if Jews were massacred. It would rally. It would say, no, this is not allowed. This has happened already. This is not. and I think that, I'm very firmly rooted and have been in the liberal community, in the progressive community, and I care a lot about it. And I have been sort of, dealing with this other shock, aside from mourning the people and aside from everything, which is just watching the whataboutism of my own community, who were like, believe women. It's like, well, these women were raped. Well, allegedly raped. And we're humanitarians. But are there really beheaded babies, though? Was there really torture when this thing was live cast and GoPro'd, and Israel has to release unspeakable footage just to be believed? And I thought, how can we live in the world where the Holocaust is denied while people are still, while survivors are talking about their stories? But I'm living through things being denied when they happened 2 weeks ago, and they live in a digital world. So we all live in the world where the game must go on and the show must go on, and we must do our jobs and get together and be professionals, even if we are women, and we want to weep and keen for the horrors of the world. But to be honest, I'm in a really shocked place, and I don't really know how it can be solved, because of course, the Palestinian people are suffering. They're suffering. They're oppressed. Their rulers are Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization that in its charter says we want to exterminate all Jews. Hamas's friends, Hezbollah, have formed because literally their leader said, I hope all the Jews gather in Israel so I don't have to go country to country and finish them off. And I did 23andMe however many years ago. I was curious. I was like, okay, I'm from Russia. I'm a Jew. What else am I? What's in there? I have 3 grandparents from Ukraine. I have 1 grandparent from Belarus, but the grandparent from Belarus, her last name sounds very Polish. And then one of my grandparents from Ukraine, her name is German, her maiden name. And so I was like, what's in there? And it's like, no, it's like, I'm 99.9 Ashkenazi Jew, like wow. Really, really, really boring. And at the same time, there was just a leak of all of the Ashkenazi 23andMe list. Oh. There's a leak. It was in Washington Post. This is not a nothing. This is not a massacre like this is not a jump off point into like a land negotiation. Right. And I don't understand why people are not screaming free the hostages. I don't understand why people are not saying free the Palestinian people from Hamas. There's a reason why Gaza is running out of food and water and never rockets. My family is being rocketed from there all the time. They're constant rockets from Gaza. They're not stopping. But the whole world is yelling ceasefire. And so I don't know why people don't want to stand with this war, because I don't know how to solve it. I don't have a solution, because I don't want Palestinian people to suffer. And I don't want Israel to not exist. So I don't know how to reconcile it.
It's obviously doubly difficult because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and you have so much family out there, but you sort of become a citizen of the world when you're a musician and you travel the globe and you connect with people in spaces that hate America, that love America, that don't really know how they feel. Mm-hmm. You sing sometimes in a language that's foreign to both the country you live in and the place you are in, and you sort of connect in this liminal space with them, singing Russian where they meet you there. And I wonder how that's influenced you, just seeing humanity from the perspective of both a visitor and a citizen.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that when you go through immigration really, really young, and you don't speak the language, and you go through the process that we went through as refugees, like we went from Moscow to Vienna, and we were there for a little while, and then we went to Italy, and we were there for a little while, and then we went to the Bronx. You know, you just sort of start to understand how arbitrary everything is. You know, like I talked to you about my roots, we're blown about. We're humans, we're not trees. The thing is, we move, we immigrate, we bring our culture places, and that culture influences us, and then we rediscover our roots in a new way. Like, that's the beauty of us, is that we are supposed to travel. It's in every fairy tale that you're supposed to leave home so that you can rediscover home and bring something new and travel the world and be a part of the bigger community. And I think, you know, getting this front row seat as a musician is really interesting because, you know, touring during, you know, war in Iraq years, and like when we went, you know, to war, and I mean, they would just be like, you Americans, you this. And I was like, I was protesting. I went to these protests all the time. But to them, it was just us as a monolith. You know, we were just these people that were brutal and, you know, colonialists and all this stuff that we were going into other countries and doing. And it was really hard to be like, but I'm not doing that. My government is doing that, you know. And then I remember how proud the whole world, all of Europe, was so psyched when Obama was elected, you know, and everybody was very excited for us. And they're like, you've come such a long way. And then when Trump got elected, everyone was like, we're so sorry this happened to you. Yeah. There wasn't even any anger. I mean, I voted absentee, and I was in England at the time. And you know, they'd had Brexit, and they were just really sad for us. And
it's a really fascinating through story, though, to come from Russia and be in the Bronx and have everyone be like, Russian, here's all the things I think of you. And now you're so American that you go places, they're like, American. We're running out of time, and there's so much more. I mean, you performed at the White House. Barack Obama asked you. You have Regina Spektor Day in New York City. You were inducted to the Bronx Wall of Fame, a Broadway residency. I mean, you're truly American. Truly a Bronx gal. Yeah, so welcomed by this country and by this city. We do have to let you perform because that's what we're all here for. So I just want a quick answer to this final question because I love this. You said, I love the idea that if you're walking toward the world, that the world will take some steps toward you. Sounds like a life philosophy.
Yeah, I really do believe that. I think that the most precious thing that we can do is try over and over to talk to whatever inner world we have, whatever inner self, and it could be for art, or it could just be for life, or it could be for friends, and to really keep that as your compass, and to really understand that this is our chance. This is our chance now. And if there's something that you really want to do, if your inner world is yearning for something, to give it to it, and then the world will keep helping you to have more of that in your life. Because I think that we do come here for a reason, each one our own reason, and that the world wants us ultimately to be happy, I think.
Well, we want more of you performing. So I'm going to get out of here. Everyone, a big round of
applause. I have to tell you that I thought Ojai, and I thought it was going to be warm, and I am freezing.
I know, I can see you. Do you want your puffer?
No, it's okay. I'm going to wear my puffy sleeves.
Okay.
I've had this. It's not just oh hi. I played like a festival in Brazil once, and I was like Brazil, and it was like in the mountains, and I was so cool. If I kiss you where it's sore, if I kiss you where it's sore, will you feel better, better, better? Will you feel anything at all? Will you feel better, better, better? Will you feel anything at all? Born like sisters to this world, in a tower, blood ties wrong with blood. If you never say your name out loud to anyone, they can never ever call you by it. If I kiss you where it's sore, if I kiss you where it's sore, will you feel better, better, better? Will you feel anything at all? Will you feel better, better, better? Will you feel anything at all? You're getting sadder, you're getting sadder, you're getting sadder, you're getting sadder, and I don't understand, and I don't understand. But if I kiss you where it's sore, if I kiss you where it's sore, will you feel better, better, better? Will you feel anything at all? Will you feel better, better, better? Will you feel anything at all? Will you feel anything at all? Anything at all? Will you feel anything at all? Anything at all? Will you feel anything at all? Anything at all? Will you feel 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 anything at all? Will you feel? Thank you. Come and open up your folding chair next to me. My feet are buried in the sand, and there's a breeze. There's a shadow, you can't see my eyes. And the sea is just a wetter version of the skies. Let's get a silver bullet trailer and have a baby boy. I'll say Tiffany's clothes all cool, and you'll graffiti up his toys. I got a perfect body, but sometimes I forget. I got a perfect body, 'cause my eyelashes catch my sweat. Yes, they do, they do. Ooh, 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 ooh. from you, but sweetly hold your hand till that day. Just please don't be so down, don't make frowns, you silly clown. Just come and open up your folding chair next to me. My feet are buried in the sand and there's a breeze. There's a shadow, you can't see my eyes. And the sea is just a wetter version of the skies. There's a shadow, you can't see my eyes. There's a shadow, you can't see my I've been walking home alone, past all the bars and corner delis, when I heard God call out my name. And he said, hey, let's grab a beer, it's awful late, we both right here. And we didn't even have to pay, 'cause God is God and he's revered. And I said, why doesn't it get better with time? I'm becoming all alone again. Stay, stay, stay. Let the ones who want it bad get all the things that make them better. Let the ones who don't care feel a thrill. And I just wanna ride, but this whole world, it makes me car sick. Stop the meter, sir, you have a heart, why don't you use it? Why doesn't it get better with time? I'm becoming all alone again. Stay, stay, stay. I went walking home alone, past all the bars and corner delis, when I asked God, please call my name. And I said, hey, let's grab a beer, it's awful late, I know you're here. And we wouldn't even have to pay, 'cause you are God and you're revered. Why doesn't it get better with time? I'm becoming all alone again. Stay, stay, stay. I'm becoming all alone again. Stay, stay, stay. Stay, stay, stay.
you.
Must go on standing. You can't break that which isn't yours. I must go on standing. I'm not my own. It's not my choice. La da da la la. Be afraid of the lame. They'll inherit your legs. Be afraid of the old, they'll inherit your souls. Be afraid of the cold, they'll inherit your blood. Upon the water to lose, after me comes the flood. I must go on standing. You can't break that which isn't yours. I must go on standing. I'm not my own, it's not my choice. Be afraid of the lame, they'll inherit your legs. Be afraid of the old, they'll inherit your souls. Be afraid of the cold, they'll inherit your blood. Up on water to lose, after me comes the flood. Be afraid of the lame, they'll inherit your legs. Be afraid of the old, they'll inherit your souls. Be afraid of the cold, they'll inherit your blood. Up in water to lose, after me flood. Февраль, достать чернила плакать, писать о феврале навзрыд, пока грохочущая слякоть весною черною горит. Февраль, достать чернила плакать, писать о феврале навзрыд, пока грохочущая слякоть весною черною горит. Be afraid of the lame, they'll inherit your legs. Be afraid of the old, they'll inherit your souls. Be afraid of the cold, they'll inherit your blood. Appelez-moi le déluge, after me comes the flood. I must go on standing. You can't break that which isn't yours. I must go on standing. I'm not my own, it's not my choice. I must go on standing. Duncan can't break that which isn't yours. I must go on standing. Down, I'm not my own, it's not Business and flowers go together. Bombing and shelters go together. Laughing and hurting go together. Finding and keeping go together. Canary yellow, mustard yellow, yellow tears stains on old pillows. Everyone loves a story about long, long ago. Pirates and parrots go together. Sticks and carrots go together. Loving and leaving go together. Lies and believing go together. Canary yellow, mustard yellow, yellow tear stains on old pillows. Everyone loves a story about far, far away. Living and dying go together. Business and crying go together. Passion and madness go together. Yellow and sadness go together. Canary yellow, mustard yellow, yellow tears stains on old pillows. Everyone loves a story about far, far away. Everyone loves a story about long, long ago. And what might have been. Two birds on a wire. One tries to fly away, and the other watches him close from that wire. He says he wants to as well, but he's just a liar. I'll believe it all. There's nothing I won't understand. I'll believe says he wants to as well, but he is a liar. On a wire, one tries to fly away, and the other.
Thank you. Thanks for freezing out here with me.
I never loved nobody fully. Always 1 foot on the ground. And by protecting our heart truly, I got lost in the sounds I hear in my mind. All of these voices I hear in my mind. All of these words I hear in my mind. All of this music, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart. Suppose I never ever met you. Suppose we never fell in love. Suppose I never ever let you kiss me so sweet and so soft. Suppose I never ever saw you. Suppose you never ever called. Ooh, suppose I kept on singing love songs just to break my own fall, just to break my fall, just to break my fall, just to break my fall, break my fall, break my fall. All my friends say that of course it's gonna get better, gonna get better, 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 better. I never loved nobody fully. Always 1 foot on the ground. And by protecting my heart truly, I got lost in the sounds I hear in my mind. All of these voices I hear in my mind. All of these words I hear in my mind. All of this music, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart. I hear in my mind. All of these voices I hear in my mind. All of these words I hear in my mind. All of this music, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart, when 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 it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart.
Thank you. Are you guys okay for one more? Or are you too cold? Yeah?
You are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first, I loved chair left on his head, ate a slice of Wonder Bread and went right back to bed. And history books forgot about us, and a Bible didn't mention us, and a Bible didn't mention us, not even once. You are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first, I loved you first. Beneath the stars came falling on our heads. But they're just old light, they're just old light. Your hair was long when we first met. Samson came to my bed, told me that my hair was red, told me I was beautiful, came into my bed. Oh, I cut his hair myself one night, a pair of doll scissors in the yellow light. And he told me that I'd done all right, and kissed me till the morning light, and he kissed me till the morning light. Samson went back to bed, on my chair left on his head, ate a slice of Wonder Bread and went right back to bed. Oh, we couldn't bring the columns down, yeah, we couldn't destroy a single one. And history books forgot about us, and a Bible didn't mention us, not even once. Are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first. Thank you so much for having me here, and it's been a pleasure playing for you and talking with you. Thank you.
Regina Spektor for an amazing conversation and performance. That'll do it for us, night 2 of the summit. Wednesday, don't miss Olympic gold medalist Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. Plus, hear from 4 influential executives across sports, business, and entertainment during our Women at the Helm panel. That's tomorrow at the espnW Women in Sports Summit.
And put it on a mountain top. Now tourists come and stare at us, blow bubbles with their gum, take photographs of fun.